Hello and welcome to the Trinity Show podcast. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are fine wherever you are, and I hope that the Lord has been good to you as He has been good to me. I know it's been a while. And it's a very beautiful day here. We are at the heart of Arua City. So if you're new on this channel, my name is Trinity Peace Gorondru, and I am your host. So on this channel, we explore the beauty of West Nile region. Here we tell our stories. We engage ourselves in conversations that inspire, that challenge, that uplift. We celebrate our heritage. We explore our stories, and basically we celebrate our excellence as people of West Nile. I am very excited today to have a guest, one who is a friend and a colleague in the creative writing industry of West Nile. He is what I would call a man, a vessel of many graces. And we are going to explore and learn from his story, his vision, his 2 new books, and also the upcoming mentorship program. Now, I've had the privilege of knowing him as a friend and as a colleague in the creative writing industry. And if you scroll down this platform, you might encounter him. You might find his name somewhere. You might find his face somewhere. He was the one who wrote, he was the author of the foreword of my book, Before Your Twilight Fades. And he was also among the guest speakers during the launch of the book donation initiative. I also know him as a very passionate minister of God's word. He is a writer, now a published author. He's a mentor and a spiritual father to many. And also he is the team leader of Dunamis Fellowship Arua.
Oh, yes.
You're welcome. It is such an honor to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Trinity. After such an introduction, you virtually left with nothing to say, but I want to say it's a great honor and a very privileged opportunity for me to be here in your soul. And I don't take this lightly for the journeys we've moved together and for having hosted me here today. And I think today is going to be a beautiful day for us here. Thank you.
Wow, I am really excited. I think let us start with I know I've hinted a few things, but probably left out some. Let us start with just a basic introduction.
I think on the introduction, there is no need to add. Maybe I'm born of West Nile. Okay. Apart from my name's being Ngaka Brian, I hail from the Greater Arua City, the former big district in the West Nile sub-region.
Sure.
And I am proud to be a Lubara by identity and also by my culture. I love it. And that's briefly who I am. Born again, saved, and the minister of the gospel. I practice law as an advocate of the High Court of Uganda and the subordinate courts therein. That's the little about me.
Wow. How do you say, you said you're Lubara, pure. Okay. How do you say you're welcome in Lubarati?
Karibu, meaning.
Karibu is Kiswahili.
Ama imira.
Ama imira.
Ama imira.
Ama anyira. Okay, I am a Madi would say ama anyira. Wow. And you are also welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, so let us begin with you. Who is TheMan Ngaka Brian? Beyond the books, beyond the pulpit, beyond your profession, who is TheMan Ngaka Brian? If you could take us through where your story began from, just a genesis of your journey.
Thank you. I am somebody who was born in this land.
Okay.
Born within the borders of the city of Arua. Raised up by parents who are living to date. And that's in the names of Musedra Madri Isaac and Obiru Knight. These are 2 people who are very inspirational in my life. Yeah. Being a firstborn boy in the family, especially for a Lubara, that means a lot. And being in this side of the territory and having known Jesus as my Lord and personal Savior is one of the things that I do not always fail to identify with. It's joy for me to tell people to know me that way. I would rather actually prefer people calling me a child of God than calling me an advocate, because it ranks above anything to be called a child of God. And so for me, that's the honor, and that's the little about me, a man who loves, of course, who is happy to make friends who are very beneficial for where I am going. I am one person who loses a lot of friends every year. Like, my culture is every year I delete contacts of people I have not contacted for 6 months. And
Okay.
so it's who I am. So I don't lower myself less than who I have discovered I am to be. And so my standards are as simple as I am. So if you can fit in who I am, then we can be, and we can go, and we can see the future. But then if you can't define for me who you are to me, I don't think that is going to be me, because I must see myself in you to become a part of what you do.
What you do.
Otherwise, that's who I am, a simple man.
Okay. Wow. You've talked about being someone from within West Nile.
Oh, yes.
And especially we are in your territory.
Oh, you're welcome.
We are in your territory. So take us through your education journey. The schools probably that you attended, and how the experiences there have been.
Wow. I think my academic journey is one of those that looks very catastrophic and very unencouraging, especially for somebody who is to be where I am. If you go through that journey, it is basically impossible for you to be who I am. I started my primary in Muni primaries.
Muni primary school.
And then I failed in primary 3. I had to join Mvara Junior Primary School. And then I failed again in Mvara Junior, and I went back to Muni Primary. But by the grace of God, I joined Muni for the second time in primary 6, wherein I had the privilege of being the head boy. And then I remember the year 2007, I was the youngest head boy in the whole of our district. I remember I was awarded by CARE. It was CARE International.
CARE International.
And so, having done that, I joined Mvara Senior Secondary School, one of the schools I loved, for 4 years. And I moved to Kampala for my A-level. I joined Chitante Hill School for 1 term. And due to circumstances beyond my control, I had to drop out. And then I joined one of the schools where my defining moments began. That's at St. Joseph's College, Ombachi, Arua. And that is where I finished my senior 5, because I joined in second term. So I did second term and third term. So guess what? I was suspended indefinitely. One day to the
strike.
closer.
Were you a strike?
Yeah, there was a strike. So I was suspended indefinitely, one day to the close of the school. But in all this, I had not yet known the Lord. And that was what actually turned me around. And some doors opened. I went to Gulu High School, where I finished 1 year without any problems. And so from there, God opened doors. I went to LDC, that's Law Development Center, did my diploma in law. And then I went to International University of East Africa. I did my LLB. And then having finished that, I moved back to LDC to do my postgraduate diploma in law. And for now, that is where I am, though I'm in the process of pursuing my master's. And that's how my academic journey has been. That's why I said it's very catastrophic.
Catastrophic indeed. So Muni Primary School, Mvara Primary, back to Muni, Mvara SS, Chitante Hill, Umbachi.
Exactly.
And then Gulu High School. So among these, which was your favorite school?
Umbachi. Umbachi was my favorite school. A lot of things changed in my life in Umbachi. I'm somebody who didn't like reading, by the way. And I reached Umbachi. I found one of the amazing things is those guys, during the day, they're noise making. But at night,
everyone is reading.
Those guys read. And because we used to hear these guys perform, and I didn't know how. But when I was there, actually, you'll be shocked. Even though I was suspended, I was the 5th best. And in my absence, they gave an award for me. But though I was already suspended. But that is where a lot of academic transition began in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Umbachi was your favorite. Let us go to your calling. Let us go to your calling. I know you has I know we first interacted in the book world,
Oh, yes.
and I came to know you as a minister of God's word. And can you take us briefly to that defining moment when you discovered your calling in ministry and how the journey has been so far?
The way to discover call in ministry, for me, it has not been a straightforward one.
Okay.
Having been born in a family where my grandmother was deeply rooted in Christian faith was one of the things that was defining to me. I lived more with my grandmother than my real mother. And so that gave me access to a lot of spiritual and faith and the issues of being established in the Lord. And I remember I always served in the church, but I did not understand what really it means to have personal relationship with Jesus. And so I lived in that saddle of life. And I can tell you all these schools I changed were really because I was so stubborn. But I was still a member in the church. And I was always preaching the gospel. And I remember down the years, about 2014, I was actually from preaching the gospel and people get saved, but I was not at myself saved.
2014.
That's about 2014. And I remember that evening, an encounter with the Lord Jesus when he came to my room in the evening after I had ministered to people and preached to people, a Jesus I do not know. That night I had no rest in my spirit. The encounters I had were terrible. And the only conclusion I told God is tomorrow in the morning, I will be going to church. I don't care what they will preach. Because I grew in an Anglican setting where you hardly have altar calls. But I said, tomorrow is Sunday. I need an altar call made, even if there's no one. I just need them to say, somebody should come and receive Jesus. And I will move and receive Jesus. So Sunday came. I can tell you, I don't know what was preached. I don't know. But one thing I know is I gave my life to Jesus on that day. I moved forward. We were two, me and some lady. And I followed the lady up to now. I still follow her because she's still in the salvation all the same. So that's when I really got saved. And that was the beginning of my life. That was how I discovered that I am loved of God and there is more to life than I had been living in. And so that opened the door for me to begin to see life in another way. And so that means my purpose began from there. So it's progressive for me to come to the place of my calling. That's how brief it can be.
Your calling. All right. Why I brought your calling up is because as much as we will talk about the book, we will talk about the mentorship program, I know at the core of it all
Yes.
is ministry
Oh,
for
yes.
you. So let us go to your writing journey.
Oh, yes.
I am a writer as well, and I know some writers can clearly tell when the inspirations hit. Okay, when they first found, when they got that inspiration to be writers, when they began their journey, like how Paul was going to Damascus and something just hit him and he became blind. You can tell. But then other people don't know, and you find that several years later, they find that they've written books, but maybe they can't tell, when did I find out that I am actually called to be a writer? So take us briefly to how your writing journey began and how it led you to this very day that we now have 2 published books.
Wow. Why I smile before I answer that question is it's really for me a miracle to say that I can write.
Okay.
Especially being somebody who did not like reading and writing. I can tell you. All my academic lives until the end of senior 6, I hated writing and I hated reading. If I tell you for 4 years, senior 1 to senior 4, I had 96 book for English that did not get completed. That
What were you doing?
That can tell you how I hate writing.
What were you doing?
I know we survived. I don't know how we survived, but by the time I was in senior 4, I didn't have 196 book I began from senior 1 that was full. That's how much I hated writing. But why I say it's a miracle is one of the things that are working in me when I got saved was the love to read. And the first books I read were Gideon Bibles, that small Bible.
Yeah,
I can tell you within 2 days I'll finish that Bible just from the blues.
from Matthew to
From Matthew to Psalms. Within 2 days, I'll finish that book. And that's how that's how my journey began. And so when I talk about writing, I cannot talk minus Jesus involved, because that was the transformation of my life. 2014 is when I began to read seriously, to write. I began to read books. I began to write my visions and my dreams down. For the first time, I had courage to do this. And I was doing this just being a Christian who needs to document their growth with Jesus. That was the intention of writing these things. But when it reached 2016, I remember the day very clearly, because I was already 2 years into ministry. And by 2 years, I was already preaching the gospel. I was being invited across this country. 2016, I was in one of the big churches in Kampala preaching, and people were thinking I was a lecturer. But that was the grace. I was actually a student in diploma, but that was one of the things. And in one of the gatherings, which was organized by one of the churches in Makerere, where men would go and meet and meditate and think about being men and being responsible. In that meeting, it was a 1-week retreat in Lueza. I remember that day very clearly, when the Lord gave me a burden to write. And that was where the book we now have, The Vacist, was birthed in 2016.
2016. Okay.
That's when I began to write.
In 2016.
Yes, please.
So this is 2009 years. That is like 9 years ago.
I can tell you the 2 manuscripts I have, which are out into publishing, the Definer and the Vacist. These are manuscripts that have stayed with me for 9 years. I wrote them in 2016. Wow. And all these years, I've been waiting for an opportunity from the Lord to say, please, it is time. Defining, reading, sharing with people, getting ideas, concretizing things, giving edits. All these 9 years, I have been patient with my Father, because I know this is a product He gave me as a miracle of being saved. So that's my journey for writing.
Wow. Let us go to the books. We have them here with us today. As you can see, we have the Definer, and then we have the Vacist. So it took us 9 years to have them, and I'm so glad. Being a writer myself, I know what it takes. You know, even just being able to get a very small book, sometimes the sleepless nights, the edits. You can even write the same book more than 50 times, and you still have to edit it over and over again. And first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Big congratulations. Now that we have these 2 books here, and the fact that you decided to give us double blessings at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
Let us talk about these books.
Okay.
Let us start with the Vacist.
Yes, please.
Let us start with the Vacist. So what is the Vacist about? What are the themes that are being explored in the book, The Vacist?
Wow, I would have told you if I went to school today, this will be one of the books I will have in my handbag.
Okay.
Because of the rich content, because of the life reality themes that are packed in the book, that have been, over these 9 years, been seasoned with a simplified way of making it a practicable thing that you can do, you can guide your life with. And so for me, if I went to the university now, I'll make sure I buy for myself the Vacist and the Definer. Now, the Vacist talks about campus life, practical. This is not theory. Because the person who wrote this book has been in campus life for 6 years, 2 years doing diploma, 4 years doing bachelor's degree. And so 6 years experience. But not just that, being a believer and having a very keen eye. One of the things the Lord put in my heart to see in this book particularly is the issue of parental interest in choice of courses or programs.
Okay.
I suffered from that. because my father had gotten me a scholarship to do education. Yeah, you can imagine what will have become of me if I was a teacher today. Maybe in a government school, I'll be teaching arts and will be like the teachers who are now planning to strike again. So we deal with issues of relationships. Now, this relationship, we're not saying the bad, we're dealing with relationships which are both constructive and destructive. So that a one who is moving to campus should be able to know that where I am going, there are certain things set at default because of what that campus is, so that I should prepare my life for. If you move again, one of the things you then begin to understand is we deal with the issue of personal morality.
Personal morality.
How you can keep yourself well in campus in a practicable way. There's wisdom. Forget about just people saying keep yourself well, but there's wisdom packed up in the word, which this book unveils, that it will be easy, that it's like A, B, C, D. If you do them, you'll be able to live a life that is free of any immoral life. Now, when we look at the statistical position of Uganda in education, it's one of the things the book deals with, because as a student, you must know the position of education that you are entering into. And that's one of the advantages this book gives you. Before you go to campus, the book gives you a complete expose of what you will expect there and how you will survive from there. But lastly, it tells you what campus is. Apart from what parents tell you it is, apart from what social media tells you what campus is, apart from what you see people saying what campus is. But this is from my heart to truly tell you what campus is. Those are the small themes I can tell you that I can vividly pick from there, from the book. Things like financial discipline are also laid in for the reader or for the learner to be able to find a way to live the life the right way. So those are the themes you find in this wonderful book.
The Vacist. I have had the privilege to actually read it, and I will make a comment on that a little bit later. Let us go to the definer. What are the themes in the definer?
Literally, you see, I've read books. My target normally is not to read in a year less than 66 books. That's my target.
66 books.
Yeah, in a year, I cannot read less than 66 books. Like in June, I've read about maybe it's coming to 40 plus books that I have read.
Then it might reach 80.
That's how 100. I do it. But I normally make sure I don't read less than that. If you look at the name definer, literally the name definer is the content of the book. Now, when we're talking about definer, we're talking about what defines you. So there are simple things that define you, but they're very complex. They're simple but complex to understand. One is, what is your belief? That is what defines you. What you believe. That's now what the definer is handling on top of the Vacist. As a new person coming to campus, you must know what defines you. That's one. Two is you must be able to have faith. No one in this world lives without faith. That is a component that gives you definition. Your faith will encourage you to do the things you're doing. So you must go to campus with faith. And there is a particular faith this book addresses that will never fail you in campus. I have tested it. My friends have tested it. It has worked. We have seen through 9 years editing of this book to make sure the things that are in this book are accurate. They are not just afterthoughts. They are statistically proven. And then number 3, you realize what the definer deals with is education or career. Because now for us as a nation, education is becoming our backbone. It is becoming one of the things the government is investing in very heavily. So when we're talking about education, we're now talking about the career path this person will take. So define is going to help you choose your career path in the most accurate way. And so maybe those are some of the few I can be able to deal with. It deals with obedience. It now deals with what I call the campus faith. Not just the faith, but now the campus faith.
Campus faith.
And so these are some of the few things you will find in the definer. But it's a book that has been crafted that you really have to read it hand in hand with the Vacist.
The Vacist, okay.
For you to come with a comprehensive way of what this is meant for, so that you can benefit from the content of it.
Okay, so we've looked at. Let me go back to the themes, the combined ones. I've picked parental influence on your career,
Yes, please.
relationship, morality, and then the definer comes with who defines you and some of the details of education. So it took you 9 years
Oh,
to have these books
11
present
years.
with us today. So when are we launching them?
We are launching this book on the 12th day of July.
12th
Our
July.
dates are set.
Okay.
12th day of July, we're launching this book, and the venue will be communicated very soon.
Okay.
Just keep tuned and keep following the podcast. You never know, will come through to let them know.
Okay.
But you can go to the handles of Ngaka Brian, TheMan Ngaka Brian, both on Facebook, on Twitter. You find me there. Just keep following. But the venue will soon be communicated. But the launch for these two books is on the 12th of July.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a double launch for the Definer and the Vacist on the 12th of July.
Oh, yes.
The venue will be communicated. You definitely don't want to miss that. So what do we expect on the launch? What are some of the things that we expect?
The launch is going to be one of the most historic, I believe,
Okay.
in Uganda.
Wow.
There has never been an author that so far I have known who launched two books
Two
at
books
a go.
at a go.
And I
Me
think
too.
that's one of the blessings that you will receive, to be the part of a history that is going to be written in our land. And I will really tell you to be part of that history, because you and your children and the congregation that day, we will go down to history. But above just these books, an amazing thing is going to happen on that day. We'll have so many guest speakers to come in, renowned. My father, Prophet Stephen, has confirmed. He's just waiting for his invitation. But he told me a long time ago he is going to be there. And the man who led me into salvation, he's called Dr. Adrico John. He's the senior pastor of Agape Christian Fellowship, Kampala branch.
Okay.
He's actually meeting me over this weekend, over the same book. And I'm trusting he will be there. But there are many other guests who are coming in. But then one of the things that will happen on that day is we'll be launching the Vacist Mentorship Program.
The Vacist Mentorship Program.
That is what we'll be launching, because that is the heart. How these two books can become meaningful to you is through that course. So having to buy these books and put them on yourself, reading it will give you maybe, I would say, 20 to 30% of the benefits it's meant to give. But by the time a student is now in the mentorship, I told you this is a practical book. This is a book of wisdom, a book of knowledge, a book of guide. It's like a compass direction. So for you to have now this book living in you and living the book now in your life, you don't have to dare to miss the mentorship.
Okay. Who are we inviting? Is it open for the public? Who are the people that we are inviting to come and be part of the launch?
Now, because of the nature of this book, this is a book dedicated for our generation, particularly the era that we're in. And you see, the main audience are people who are in first year in their universities or institutions of higher learning. The current, what we call the vacists. You can just see the name of the book, The Vacist. It tells you who the reader is. And so we're expecting people who have just finished Senior 6. They are now in the period of preparation to go to campus. Now, what these books come to do is, once you finish Senior 6, once you finish Senior 4, we have the period we call the Vacist. Do you know that the government has no plan for that period? Do you know churches don't have plan for that period? Very few do something. People are having conferences, but they forget. Actually, my understanding and revelation I got from God about that period is, that's the period when the children can be prepared to face the next phase of their life. And that's what exactly this will do. So those are my key audience. Students are welcome from institutions around and far, but then we're encouraging parents to be there, because there is a portion of this that they have to learn and join hands with their children. We have religious leaders that are being involved in this, and then policymakers are coming into this. Politicians are already involved. They are into contributing to making sure we fix this thing once and for all, because this addresses a problem that even the government is not seeing.
He's not seeing. You talked about the Vacist Mentorship Program.
Oh, yes.
That just beyond the books, just beyond the definer and the Vacist, we have an upcoming mentorship program. I know you've hinted a little bit about it, but what is it all about? Who is it designed for, and how can someone be part?
Now, this mentorship program we're having, I can tell you it's the first of its kind that I know is happening in this nation, especially particularly designed for Vacists. This is what I know so far. I stand to be corrected if somebody has known. But to my realm of knowledge and understanding and meeting and sharing with people, this is one of the things that is being left out. And so what we're expecting from this is, one, the 2 books have been broken down and built into a course.
Into a course.
It took me an entire 1 year to build the course. I was quiet about it because it was a progressive journey. So a course has been designed, and this course has been turned into a mentorship program. So when we're talking about a mentorship program, we're now talking about a course that is designed particularly to train and prepare Vacists in that period before they go to university.
Campus.
So what you will expect during this mentorship, maybe one of the things you need to understand is, now practically you're going to be taught how to prosper in your relationships, both before you join campus and while at campus.
Okay.
2 is, you're going to be taught how to protect your faith so that you thrive as an academic giant. Because if your parents don't have hope in you, I promise you they will not pay your fees. And so that calls you to have hope and faith in your heart. So you're going to be taught principles. You're going to be taught things. How do I put my faith to work? How do I choose right friends? How do parents advise me so that I make the right decision to choose my course? I can tell you, most, especially in our region, I am one of the culprits. Most of the courses children are doing are consolations for their parents.
Sure.
Most of the children, the courses they are doing,
100%.
they are fulfilling the dreams of their parents. So you find young people are frustrated. Somebody has bachelor's degree in law, but they can't practice law. You ask them why, they say, I don't have any desire to do this. And you ask them why, they tell you, no, I'm just doing my master's in BBA. And then you begin to know they are so zealous in doing their BBA. And then if you dig deeper and investigate, you realize they lacked such mentorship. They were not mentored. The parents had their interest diverted to their children, and children missed their path. And so at the end of the day, children are now the vision of their parents.
They are not their own separate individuals.
Definitely. And so those are things this mentorship will address, to stop and make sure we eradicate that problem. We raise a generation that rises in their identity, who they are, representing who they are, and fulfilling what God has called them to do. That's the heart of this, to disciple a generation that will not be corrupt, that will stand for the truth, that will raise up children that will be very excellent in the ways of God. Here we will be addressing issues of peer pressure. Practically, how do you avoid this in campus? We'll be dealing with issues of what I call pleasure. Because you remember, campus is the only place where you can now make a decision without your parents asking your parents.
Where are you? What are you doing?
They will not ask, where are you? They will not even ask, did you sleep in your hostel? They will not even ask, did you go to church or you went to the disco? So we must train our children to learn and know these are things they will find in campus, and they must be prepared for it. So making decisions, being groomed in a way that you will make quality decisions under peer influence. And when your morality is tested, how do you survive? How do you survive? You'll meet lecturers who don't believe in God. You'll meet lecturers who believe in God. How do you handle them
How do you
practically?
handle?
How do you respond to a lecturer who is always in class telling you God is not there? You people who believe in God, you should be out of my class. How do you control your temper as a young learner? Very, very young, coming from West Nile sub-region. People think we're in another country. Because you know you got down country, tell them you're from Arua. They'll be like, where is Arua?
At least Arua.
Call Maracha,
Moyo.
Ajumani is big, maybe Yumbe.
Yumbe.
They will be like, where are you from? Now give the name of your school. It will be like,
Is
you
that
mean
in
this school is in Uganda? And so these are things the mentorship will address. It's equipping young people to thrive in academics with their faith untainted.
I think it has come at such a right time, because if you're to look at this generation, this particular generation, I think I left campus several years back, maybe, I don't know, 6.
Okay.
I think 6 probably years back. And from then to now, there is so much that has changed. Just there's a lot of change that has happened.
Exactly.
And I can imagine during my time, if there were if there were some challenges that we faced, and how has it progressed now? I remember when joining campus, we didn't have any particular mentorship.
Oh, yes.
And you find that all that parents can tell you is, please go there, take care of yourself, make sure you're careful, be careful. But what is the dimension of that be careful?
Exactly.
And sometimes some people have the benefit of having parents maybe who have already experienced campus life. But then some of us didn't have that. So you find that your parents even don't know, they're sending you to a place that they have never been to.
Exactly.
And most of the people in your life probably have not even been there.
Definitely.
So they use hearsays, like, we had, this is what happens there. We had people get spoiled there.
Exactly.
There's a lot that happens there, but they've never been there. So I think this is a blessing to this region, to this generation. And having a mentorship program that is tailored specifically to handle the Vacist as they prepare themselves to join campus. So thank you for coming up with this. I think it is something that is urgent, and is something that really needed to be done at such a time. So let us go back to how someone will be able to be part of this. Are we going to have online sessions? Are we going to have physical sessions? How can someone be part of this?
You see, our heart being for the generation, one of the things we had to do was to understand the uniqueness of this current generation. They are into the internet. They are the generation. And so that means we have it in plan, and we will do a pilot. A pilot mentorship this time. Because the reason is, this is a program that should be nationwide. I've been to Kenya. I was shocked. One of my friends is actually mentoring students in Kenya is going to use the same books. But I can tell you, it's literally something that most African countries are not doing. All they're saying is these students have been in school for long. Let's give them time to rest. But they forget. After the rest, they are actually going to a place that needs them more prepared than where they're coming from.
Where they were.
And so because of that, we are going to have the physical classes, which will be privileged for people in West Nile. Is particularly in Arua city. They are going to be privileged, and the slots are going to be very few. I can tell you will not take more than 20. If we exceed, it might be 25 for physical, because we want to have quality data. We understand the urgency of this. And then the same is now going to be for the online. And that means for the online, we are most likely not going to consider people from within the region. Because we have given the privilege to be among the top, so that they're part of the pioneer team, so that The online caters for people who cannot come to West Nile, but have known and realized this is what needs to be in their life.
To be there.
So those are the slots we'll have, both online and physical.
Okay. So we are going to have on-site classes and online classes.
Definitely.
Okay, so 12th July, if you are a vacist out there, a parent or guardian to one, please prepare. When are the application forms going to be out?
The application forms will roll them out after 12th of July. Now, why we're rolling the applications out after the launch is because right now we have received verbal applications. And so we want to give a small time purposely so that we are not overwhelmed. We know people want this program. But you see, being a man such as me, maybe who is practicing law and in the place of teaching the word of God, I know the need. And my issue is not to give something that is half cooked. And I'm not after money. Because this is even going to be a bursary. I can tell you, these people who are coming in are going to be on bursary. They will not pay most of the things. It's already been taken care of. And so what does that mean? That simply means that the program is something we want it to be defined so well. That's why the first is going to be a pilot with which we can establish grounds and make it easy for everyone to access.
Okay.
And so that is the reason why we are into spaces and building particular timelines and limits, because we want to have the most defined given to the public for consumption.
Okay, so the first cohort is going to have limited intakes.
Definitely.
And then we are going to have both physical and then online classes, virtual classes. And what are the requirements? Or do we have that already? What are the requirements for someone to be able to participate in this mentorship?
The first requirement is you must have completed senior 6 or senior 4 last year.
Okay.
That's
Last
the general.
year? What
I think
about
it's last year? No, because our target is the vacists, those who are moving to campus. We want to pioneer with them, because after we pioneer, our mentorship sessions will end on the 1st of August, which is about 3 weeks before campuses open or institutions of higher learning open. So our target is, because the mentorship is beyond just what we'll do here, it will go up to their universities. Meaning, as they move to university, we will have contact for being able to test, is it true what God said in these books, the revelations? Can they be practically lived in a life? And so that is why we're giving those slots. Very few, as soon as we finish, they move to campus. And then while they're in campus, we are running data analysis. We are doing edits. We are doing improvements. We are working on transforming certain courses, units that are within the course, so that at the end of the day, it's a well-structured and well-built outline course for mentorship.
Okay, so will the mentorship only end in class, or are there certain designs meant for when the students are already there, some of the fellowships, the networks that they'll be in, the follow-ups and all that?
We have the strategy already for the follow-ups, where most of the students are going to be subjected to certain things that they have to do, especially for the next years they're going to be in campus.
Okay.
Daily routines have been built up. Daily Bible study guides have been built up for this for years.
Wow.
For full year, daily study guide have been built for these people, that every day they're reading and studying, because we want to keep track. We want to know these students are doing well. We want to know that they are progressing well. And so these are some of the things that are being progressing on. And then maybe one of the packages that will come for them is you'll have access to the copy of the books. You'll have access to a branded notebook for the both books. Each book has its own notebook.
Wow.
And then they are coming to the blessing of each notebook has a wristband designed in its name, because we know these are students. We want them to fully identify that I am a vacist, proud to be one. So as they move to campus, that identity boldness should stand out. Because if you don't love yourself, no one is going to love you.
True. And I think in connection to having them, mentored and being together, it will also be able to create, that network of students who have been trained together, and some of the accountability networks that they'll be able to have. I think those are some of the things that students lack. So being able to meet themselves there together has people who have gone through this training together. They'll be able to even follow up each other and have that link, that network.
Yes.
And I think this is something, if I were not out of campus. Oh, what about someone who's planning to join masters? Someone who is not a Vacist, but is planning to join anyway. All right. So what is your ultimate hope for every mentee who will complete the program?
My ultimate hope that at the end of the mentorship course is that every learner or every Vacist who is going to be part of this program must live for campus with confidence,
Okay.
with boldness, with assurance that they will make it in life, with wisdom that is going to sustain them for all the days they're going to be in campus, with spiritual alertness.
Spiritual
that no
alertness.
one will sweep them off their feet, whether be it lecturers. These professors, how they terrorize our lives with philosophical terms when it comes to being atheism and all these. You know what that means for a young man coming from Arua who has never known what an atheist is, and the professor is giving you these words. We want to make sure by the time somebody is leaving the mentorship program, this is somebody who is well versed with how I will make the best of my life in campus and not mess it. And I will come out and be unique who I am. And the parents supporting them to be who they are in their future. That's my dream for this mentorship program. A generation that is redefined by God. A generation whose vision will never, ever again be crippled either by parents or the government or institutions, but a generation that will serve their purpose. You see in the book of Acts, it's one of the things I'm tempted to tell you. You see, before David died, the Bible said in the book of Acts that after David had served his generation according to the knowledge that God gave him, he died. That's the generation I want. That's the generation I want. A generation that will serve its people and do work, whatever it is, being a doctor, being a nurse, being a driver, being a boloka, but serve God, serve your people by that knowledge. And then you sleep well, like David. After you have done that, then you sleep well. That's my hope for this mentorship.
Wow. Okay. Now, I know we've talked about the mentorship course. We've
yes.
talked about the 2 books. And back to you being an author and being a writer. Do we have any other upcoming books? Do we have any other upcoming works that we should expect from you, whether this year, whether next year?
This year, expect more. I can tell you, expect more.
Okay.
Expect more.
Are they going to be twins like this? Or we are going to have how do you call twins in Lugbarati?
Iju.
Iju? In Madi we say Leju.
Wow.
And,
the dialect
triplets?
is just...
Triplets? What do you call triplets?
Lugbara doesn't have triplets, but we just call them na. Like 3.
So are we expecting triplets? Are we expecting quadruplets? What are we expecting?
You just be expectant.
Okay.
2 or 3 of the books will be published before the year ends. And these are books you will not even want to miss them. Because I've been in writing for about 10 to 11 years without publishing any book. And that means there's a lot the Lord has revealed. There's a lot I have learned. There's a lot that I have written down. And we're working on the manuscripts, making sure what we give out is the best. And so be expectant to have more books coming out. And I love the Bible. It's my instrument for teaching.
For teaching.
You see, the Bible says in Ecclesiastes, there is no end to the writing of books. So expect more.
We should expect more books coming up. All right. So as we come to the end of this, as we prepare to wrap this up.
Yes, please.
You introduced yourself, and personally, I've also known you, you know, your professional life, the ministry that God has called you into, now the mentorship program, being an author, being a writer. How do you balance all this up? Because you find that maybe there's someone out there who is passionate about writing, or whatever passions that they may have, whatever gifts or talents that God has given them. But then you be like, oh, because I'm busy at work, my 9-to-5 job, I can't do this. I think I faced that. You find the time that you have time to write and do something, maybe there's no money. The time that you're going out there to look for money, you now don't have time to follow some of these passions. And also in connection to, you find when someone is maybe busy doing a particular work, it's hard for them to do ministry, and you are a full-time minister at the same time doing all these things. And how do you balance that up without, losing your mind, without underperforming in one? And how do you do this?
It's one of the questions that I have faced in the last 2 years. From literally everyone who meets me and realizes the few sides of my life. And I can't give you a formula of what this is, because it may work for one and it may not work for the other, depending on the discipline of how they have been raised and how they've trained themselves. Because if I tell you the disciplines I have, you may want to practice them, but you see the foundations upon which my disciplines lay, you may not know it. And that means you may not even be able to function in 1% of what I am doing. But one of the wisdom I know is a man does not have time for what is not part of their life.
A man does not have time.
He doesn't have time
for what is not part of their lives. Okay.
So if there is anything a man knows, this is part of my life, this is what makes me to live on earth a dignified life for God, they always have time. They will always have time. I read of one man in the Scandinavian region. He was a pastor. I read his biography in 2020. I was amazed. By the time he died, I think at the age of 70-something, he was managing 50 companies. That's one. And he was a pastor of the biggest church in the Scandinavian region. And not just that, he was the governor of the bank. I mean, like this ED of the bank that was started by the church. He was the pioneer. So that was actually some of the things that opened me up. One man effectively lives his life. A man is available for anything that makes part of their life. So why you're not able to do the things you're doing is because the things that you want to do not form part of your life. The day that which forms part of your life comes, even if they're 30, you'll have time. So now, when you have 30 things, which all form part of your life, then the discipline of planning and scheduling is easy.
Planning and scheduling
is very easy. So I live my life on planning and scheduling. Before I came here, I had a whole day activity of where I'm going and what I'm going to do. And now I'm here. After this, I know where I'm going. I know who I'm meeting. I know where the meeting is going to be. And I know what I'm going to eat in the meeting there. That's how weird my life is. But now, why am I going there? Because that thing forms part of my life. And I can tell you, I can give you a list of 5 things I have closed today I'm not doing. Because they don't make, if I don't do them, they don't increase the value of my life. So why do I manage, how do I manage these things? Everything that adds value to my life, I go for them. Anything that takes away from my life, I leave it.
You leave it. So it's about knowing what adds value to your life and being able to plan yourself accordingly to be able to fit in. Okay. Now, being a writer, I know there were challenges probably that you faced when you were working on these. to encourage someone out there, maybe another upcoming author who might also, maybe someone who is planning to work on a book. What were those challenges that you faced, and how were you able to, what was the most difficult part when it came to publishing these 2 books?
I love your question because I will answer your question and re-ask that question to myself because of how I tune my mind. Now, instead of saying what were the problems, I will have said what were the challenges I overcame. Because this is how I live my life. If I see a challenge, I know there's something good there.
Something good, okay.
So I go for it. I love being in challenges. But one of the amazing things that really helped me know that actually writing, you will need to endure. I told you I began my writing journey in Louisa. And I remember sharing the vision in the man who had sat on the table. And that was my first time. I didn't know how to write books. But I was given a man, one of the renowned and respected authors in Uganda, that everybody, when I just spoke about that, they said, where is this man? They called him and said, please mentor this young man. And the man took me in. But I can tell you, I can't call it disappointment. Up to date, I don't have any word
to define that.
I received an email from him telling me I should share the book that God wants me to write about. So I just structured that was by then the Vacist. I structured, without the words, I structured what God wants, what I want to be in each verse or chapters and how many chapters. This is the 13th year or the 14th year. My email has not been replied.
Till now that the books have been published.
My email has not been replied. And you know what that means for a young man who has never written a book.
I know.
It now takes a man who knows himself identity. It takes a man who has faith. That is now what the definer deals with. Because I told you these are practical things. It takes a man who knows his purpose, who can be able to now come up with this book. And that's one of the challenges I faced, and we managed to overcome up to now. I think that's the biggest thing. I can tell you that was a good challenge for me because I didn't have now anybody to mentor me. I had to read myself how to write books. I read about 4 or 5 books on how to write books. So I didn't go to any school or any writing association. Remember in secondary I didn't like writing, so debating and the writers club was not my thing.
Not your thing.
So this was completely new thing for me. So but if you have that vision and dream of writing, learn to persist. Learn to persevere.
Persistence, perseverance.
Have those in your heart until you see your vision, your dream in reality. Don't stop doing.
I think that applies to not just authors, but generally, if you have a dream, learn to persist, learn to persevere. How do you say that in Lubarati?
Inyi iyo tita, inyi iyo te erinisa luzuzu.
I wanted to translate in Madi, but I can't. I wanted to translate just that. Okay. So thank you. Thank you so much for taking your time to come and share this with us. And this has been great. Learning from your story, from your vision, the books, The Vacist and The Definer, and also the mentorship program. So as we wrap this up, I know our viewers have been able to learn a lot from this. And if they may have any comments or any suggestions or probably any questions, we are going to share your social media handles and some of your contacts so that they may be able to reach you and the team that is working on this. So as we wrap this up, what is your final word of encouragement to someone who is watching this? Someone out there who is watching this particular session, what is your word of encouragement to them?
To the viewer who is a student, I want you to know there is hope for the future. And the hope for the future is not someone, it's you. If you're a parent, I want you to know, believe in your children. Believe in the people you're sending to universities. Believe in the people, these children you're sending to institutions of higher learning. Have confidence in them that this is a child I have raised. I know they will not disappoint me. There is hope. There is hope. To religious leaders, to the government, to policymakers, please, let's think as a country, as a nation, about how to prepare students to go to the university. I am doing a program, but the program may not be sufficient enough to cover the entire nation. I may not have the capacity, but I know I have the capacity. But I would have loved the government to come in and make this a more organized, a more robust thing that can be designed for the entire nation to prepare our students. And so my last message to everyone now who is watching is, please do not forget to follow Trinity on YouTube. Don't forget to do that. She's been a very wonderful host to me. And it's been a wonderful thing working with your team here, people on camera, such loving and caring people. And so it's been a great opportunity for me to be here. Otherwise, thank you so much for the love, for hosting me. And I appreciate that. Otherwise, you wanted me to speak in my local language.
Yes. Translate that in Lubarati.
Wadifemini alwalworo. Angani yo maninje lubartis roja, mundutis roja lubartis woroku. Te ale mini yo wadifo. Ama anzi oderu mubaskulu adi hasibaza movuba madriachi. Adisukuni iwu imu pidrilediri erovu iwu amanesi bazu emidriere. Iwu di kedera ere determinere. Iwu di kapasora ere spaso zeminere. Dika tipikaro le amamovuki basi bapi anzima diradiki. Bama fe anzima avama fuko. Unito nizuru mafuko. Bama bianzi madri, bama suti peta pezu anzini iyo ibipi afaile furma iyo maaliako. Tipika karakara leki imanzima yeki afandeni yekuri. Miandra efu doktaru, teturu efu bolokaro. Turo milemva mivle afam history yepia lade. Mamuli ni biology yemboroki serebe. Anima iya mavua taro, bamovu banzi ya tibaderu. Bamovu banzi ya mane madribi peru. Anzi ya manidi ili kangali werebo. Ingovu paba soba amadrilia diki. Ani akanzi dinasi anyoza fesado. Udrilere malia amangawa mabiblia kini. Ba warani nyani teanzi ingoveni fani. Iyo dilere letema ya iko. Adesiko na maditsuro bejo nyipiraran. Adesiko fedemina warfotu. Ba mafudrivile sa vlerisi. Ika YouTube onendi. Ba me follow Trinity nindi. Mi subscribe, mi me like ere. Ane minga odu ko azifo ba de ki mavuti biane bene.
Our default
Manjura.
So thank you so much, Apostle, for being such a compelling voice for this generation.
Thank you.
I know this is not just for the region. It is not just for the youth, for the young people, but this is for the kingdom of God at large. And I am very convinced beyond any ounce of doubt that through this program, through these books, particularly the two books that we are celebrating today, this region is going to witness such a revival. And it's going to be beyond just this region. It is going to be beyond West Nile. I am so excited and very expectant for what God is going to do through you, through this program and through these books. And I would most definitely love to have you back again. I know there's so much that we can talk about, not just to celebrate some of these milestones, but to learn from your vision, to learn from some of your experiences. And I'll be so really so grateful to have you back.
I will definitely be waiting.
Again. And to our dear viewers, it has been such an honor to have you with us till the very end. Please share this episode go and follow TheMan Ngaka Brian to be able to get some of the updates regarding the launch of the book, regarding the mentorship program. If you know you're a vacist out there, or a guardian, a parent, a community leader, a government leader, even some of the institutions that maybe maybe you feel that you can partner with this very great initiative. I think we are going to share some of the contacts, and you'll be able to reach out and get involved. Don't forget to get yourself copies of these books. I don't know when they are going to. I think after the launch, we are going to get the details on some of the bookshops and something where we can get them. So please get yourself copies of this book. And as always, wherever you are, make sure you are the light in whatever corner God has placed you in. I hope that you take good care of yourself, and God will also take good care of you and bless you until we meet again. Thank you. Thank you so much.